Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball, and it is Sunday, May 7th, 2023. I generally don't ever make videos on the weekends, but there has just literally been something weighing on my heart, and I thought that I should just put this out in a video and share my thoughts and try to respond to some of the I guess, misunderstood criticism that's happening right now, and people using content of mine to misrepresent what it is that I'm doing with people that are from the Apostolic United Brethren. There have been creators that have used my name throughout the years to discredit what I do and to defend the people that I cover, or sometimes the bad people that I cover. This is a hazard of my job, and I rarely ever respond to it. I have had a number of survivors from the Apostolic United Brethren contact me today about videos that have been made that I am trying to destroy Christine Brown. And I think this is a gross misrepresentation of what has been happening and what we're doing. If you are not aware, I did an interview last week with a woman named Emily Lee. Emily is I don't even know, she's a middle daughter of Dave Watson, who is the prophet of the Apostolic United Brethren. The AUB, which actually was part of the bigger group of polygamists in Utah. They all came from the same bunch. They split and the FLDS split back in the 1950s. Since then, the two groups have been separate, and they're the two largest groups for people that practice fundamentalist Mormonism. And because, they're a very secretive group, there's no way to estimate how many people are practicing at any one time. In their heyday, they estimated they had over 10,000 people in their group. I would expect that as more and more people have been leaving, it's much smaller. This group has always been considered the most benign of the groups. And unfortunately, that perception that's been out in the public has been reinforced by the Brown family, Cody and the sister wives, because they came from this group. And Christine Brown's grandfather is Rulon Allred. Her dad is Rulon's son. And her mom is actually the daughter of Florin LeBaron. So she is connected to the LeBarons. Ervil LeBaron is her great uncle. And then she's also connected to the Allreds. So Christine's bloodline is in two sides of polygamy. Now, this doesn't really necessarily matter because most people that are in this world have deep connections and have been involved in this world for a very long time. To give you an understanding of how difficult it is for people to actually speak out against the AUB, it's not, for most of you that watch, you are very keenly aware of groups like the Kingstons, because of Escaping Polygamy, and Amanda Ray and all the good work that she does. And others of you know about the FLDS because of Warren Jeffs and because of all the different documentaries that have been put out. And the AUB has really been able to manage their public profile much more carefully than the rest of these groups, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily benign. And so what's happened now is that Emily spoke out and a ripple effect has happened. Emily speaking out is huge. You have to consider the context of it's very uncommon for anyone from the Apostolic United Brethren to actually speak out publicly. Mostly because in the climate of today with the sister wives, no one believes them. People believe the narrative that's been put out by TLC about this group, that they are just like law-abiding citizens, that are just like a normal family, that love everyone. They don't have any questionable beliefs. They don't do the other stuff that these other groups do. They are just good citizens. But that's not necessarily the case, and it's not really true. The Browns and TLC don't talk about the faith because the group doesn't want them to talk about them. And so you as viewers get a very sanitized version of who this group is. And unfortunately, the very nitty gritty details about their beliefs are like left out on the cutting room floor. And you don't hear about their beliefs. You don't actually hear about what they believe. You don't hear about what they practice and why these things are practiced. And you don't hear about all of the problematic things that are happening in their group, even though they were happening at the same time the show was on the air. TLC has been a machine that has really kept a lot of people silent. And honestly, I have always presented on this channel a very factually based look into polygamy, much differently than other channels that might look at just the gossip side of things and just cover the show. And if that's what you want, that's fine. I have always looked at this as more of a pragmatic perspective of helping shed light on a dark area. A lot of people are misrepresenting my content right now and saying that I'm trying to get back at Christine or I'm trying to ruin Christine because they think that I am mad at her for blocking me. And like, I used to be so supportive of her and I used to like care about her and all of this. And here's the thing, I am not mad at Christine for blocking me. Christine and the sister wives wrote about their book about how they don't really trust bloggers, they don't trust journalists, and this group doesn't trust outsiders. So I was shocked that I actually was not blocked by her for a long time. The other two, Janelle and Mary, blocked me years ago when I called out TLC and the family for having Kyle Henderson on their show. My criticism of the way that they've represented their group it's not new. I've been talking about it since 2019. And if you're new here, maybe you think that this is new, but it's not new. I raised notice, or I publicly expressed frustration that Kyle Henderson, a bishop of the AUB, was featured on the show in 2019 in the middle of him being on trial for DV charges against his wife. He had violated protection orders. He was facing so many felonies. Cody was going to be like an expert witness. And the way that they represented it on the show was that Kyle's wife just like left for no good reason. She just gave up. And that's just not what happened. And I spoke up about that and I shared photographs about that. And that's what actually got me blocked by Janelle and Mary. Okay. So for Christine to have just recently blocked me, it's just sort of standard. I don't really care about that. What has happened and what has changed for me, not that I'm angry at the Browns. In fact, I would love to see all of them have freedom in their thoughts, freedom in their beliefs, freedom in their world, freedom from the chains of the religion, and freedom from the mental psychological prison that this group, I believe, puts people in. And I don't believe that staying on a show with Cody will help Christine heal, but that's my opinion and I'm allowed to have one. What has changed is that in the last year, through this coverage and through my diving and my research, more people from the AUB have reached out to me. And when you start to learn new information from people from the inside, information that is so secret that they've hidden it from the public, when you start getting sent videos and audio and booklets and all kinds of like books or like pamphlets on their standards for modesty and their standards for courtship, and you start to see what's actually happening in this group, you can't unsee it. Are the Browns still connected to them? Yes, because most of their family is still in this group. Mary has sisters that are in this group. Robin has sisters and siblings that are in this group. Her mom is still in this group. Cody's brother and his mom and a lot of his siblings are a part of this group still. Christine has most of Christine's family is still in this group. And Janelle's sort of an outlier because she was a convert and her mom has since passed away. But for all intents and purposes, they have a lot of connections to this group, and while they say they're excommunicated, they're really not, because they're just not excommunicated. They don't do that. if the show were to end tomorrow, it's highly likely that they could go back to the church and be a part of it. So I don't want anyone to think that because I'm sharing details about survivors' stories that I'm somehow trying to ruin Christine. What I'm trying to do is show you that what you're seeing on TV is not necessarily real. And so one of the biggest things with this group is that they will lie to protect polygamy at all costs. And so what you see on television is a caricature of this family. They get to pick what they show you. They get to pick what scenes they filmed. They get to wear fake bellies and pretend like they're pregnant because they have to reshoot scenes. They have to reshoot scenes. You know that McKelty on her Patreon revealed this year that her mom and Truly had to have a conversation about them leaving for Utah after they had moved. So that like scene where she's in the bedroom with Truly and she's talking about the decision for them to move and how she felt about it, that was actually filmed after they left, after they had moved, after she and Cody were divorced and gone. So a lot of us were assuming that happened in real time. It didn't. It was filmed after the fact. They're allowed to pick what they want to show us. And good and bad, some people are able to see through it and understand the reality of reality television is not always real, right? Other people just don't see it and they just see the image on TV and they believe it because that's what's on TV, so it must be true. No one more than me or the survivors of the AUB want anything more than all of the people involved in the Brown family to literally have freedom. A lot of the kids have been able to leave and are not practicing polygamy, but haven't had the opportunity to maybe go into therapy yet to really dissect what's going on in their lives to process what they've gone through. Advocates that I speak to and work with on a daily basis all talk about the importance of therapy and really extrapolating yourself from the situation. So an advocate would say that for Christine to truly heal, the best thing for her would be to remove herself from a show that involves the man that is her DV, ABUSER. So imagine you've been with a man for 25 years that's been DVing you, and you finally leave, but then you stay in a show with him because you have a contract. Sometimes money isn't as important as your mental health and your well-being. She could probably go on and do a lot of different things, but there's a lot of pressure on her to stay on the show. And all advocates are saying is that that's probably not her healthiest choice. As far as the kids go, I'm so glad none of them are practicing, but we don't know about Robin's kids because they're so heavily controlled by Robin and Cody. We also know that some of the kids are speaking out, and the stuff that they're saying is so heartbreaking, and yet none of the parents that are on social media consistently ever address it. So something I was talking to about with one of the survivors was all of Christine's kids have been making claims on social media about the DV in their household and things that their dad did or Mary did or whatever, or the poverty that they experienced. And then Christine, there's all these headlines, all these allegations, nobody addresses it. And then Christine sort of just goes along on her day and like posts about how lovely her life is and how happy her life is. And that's just like the way that the survivors described it to me. It's like this, like you're in a delusional, like happy bubble where they've been so programmed to constantly keep sweet that to break that and to acknowledge that would mean that it would be painful for her. So some people are struggling with the fact that her kids are crying and saying this happened to me, and her life on social media is like roses. And if that's okay with you, that's fine. But those kids are crying out and they're saying things, and those voices deserve to be heard. So do the voices of the victims of the AUB, like Emily and others that have bravely spoken out, and a lot of people that have been tarnished and had the bus driven over them and been called evil and wicked and disgusting. These are people that have real stories that are sharing their truth, and you have to understand the bravery it took for Emily to speak out, The AUB could raise up an army tomorrow if they needed to fight anything. They are trained to be like a militia. For her to speak out knowing that threat is incredible. For her to speak out to know that she doesn't live that far from her dad or from some of her siblings still in is tremendous, because most people in this group don't speak out because of that fear. I'm not trying to ruin her. Emily's not trying to ruin her. Advocates that have been screaming and like, please hear us, please listen to us, aren't trying to ruin the Browns. They just want their stories to be heard, and they want people to understand the truth of the situation isn't what's been seen on TV. And it's time to have honest conversations about this. And that's painful for viewers, because people that they've grown to love don't necessarily match the picture that they saw on TV. Does that mean that all the wives are evil? No. It means they are products of a very high control group, and that getting out is going to be painful and hard, and they probably have so much trauma that they have to face and deal with to recover and heal. And they're doing this all in the public eye, and they're doing this in a way where other people that have left don't have the safety nets that these women have, didn't have the resources, and didn't have the money to fall back onto, and didn't have the ability to go off and buy a $700,000 house. You know, you have women that are leaving these very poor situations where they don't have a lot of money to begin with, and then they're going into shelters, they're going into safe houses, and they start with nothing. And that's a hard reality. And that's all they want you to hear, is that, yes, we're so glad that Christine left, but please don't forget about us. Don't forget about what we've gone through. And please, Christine, help us. Help us. Come to our side. Be a part of our voices. You can believe what you want about the Browns. Nobody wants to hurt them. My job isn't to hurt them. My job isn't to get back at Christine for blocking me. I don't care if she blocks me. My job isn't to hurt Mary or to hurt Janelle. I'm here to tell you and report to you about what's going on. And so for me, I care about those people that are in this group and that are leaving and have loved ones stuck and are seeing their little sisters being groomed by 50-year-old men and fearing that their 14-year-old sisters are going to end up married to a 65-year-old. That's what I'm worried about. And then thinking about the women and the men that have left that have moms that are still stuck and really trapped in really unhealthy relationships, and thinking about these kids that are growing up in an environment where they're like basically living in fear of everything, and that the world is going to imminently end. And then a system in Utah that doesn't prosecute any of these men. And the only way anything ever changes is when someone is loud and starts screaming from the roof about what's going on. That's how things happened, and things got, that's what happened when arrests were made with Warren Jeffs. People bravely started speaking out against him, and changes came, charges happened, things got exposed. It's painful, but it's necessary if you want people to be okay. And I'm pretty sure most of you don't agree with what's happening to these people. So no, I don't want to ruin Christine. I hope she has a good life. I want her to have a good life. I just want to continue to do my job, which is helping these people. And I feel very motivated now because a lot of these AUB members are feeling seen, and I want to help them. And I hope you understand that. And if it hurts your heart and you think I'm trying to hurt Christine, I'm sorry. I'm not. And if other channels want to spend their time trashing me and trashing what I'm doing rather than doing the work to actually help others, that's on them. That's not on me. But that's not what I do. So I also wish those channels the best. I hope that they were able to get a few subscribers who believe them about me, even though it's not true. But I know at the end of the day, I can rest my head down at night, and I'm not going to criticize them. That's all I've got. Bye, guys.